I am so close to doing some dances on TikTok. I just can't even tell you. Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. It's football season. Week one of the college season is finally upon us. We are rolling right along. So many different things to talk about, so many ways to make money this year, and getting off to a great start here at FatJackSports.com. But let's get you ready. If you're betting on the games, if you're traveling around the country, going to one of the many states that has legalized sports gambling, you're going to be betting on these things. You don't want to be guessing. It's very difficult to win. We talked last week about parlays and how those are a horrible thing. Got a lot of good feedback from that. So let's get into the show, get you into some money, and bring in my MVP co-host from Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Brandon Rush. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
It's a splendid time. Although for me, at least, it's a little bit weird because I'm on Bachelor Week. My wife is out of town for 10 days. So
Wow.
I've been left unsupervised on the first weekend of college footballs, which is a good thing and potentially a bad thing. But the good news is games every day for here on out and ready for profit. So we're just hoping we'll jump into week one, but not get too deep.
Jamie need a break from you, or went home, or what's going on with
Yeah,
that?
she went home to Oklahoma for a bit, helping out with her dad, and then her sister's coming back with her, and she's spending time with us for a few days. So it's just it's family related stuff, but she's also working, so it's all good. But I'm sure after spending months upon months with me, that a break is often due.
Karen will say, we'll be driving down the road, and she'll say, well, you know what, I need a break.
Hey, honesty is the way to go.
Let's go ahead and take a lap. Let's take 10. See how that feels. So, after 30, we were made 31 years last year, and after 31 years, every once in a while you just need to take a lap. So I totally get it. And by the way, not bad timing. We've got week one of college football season here. NFL starts up this next weekend. So, we're finally there. We've been kind of nickel and dime and beating around the bush, and we talked about our summer. I had a great summer in Euro and Copa in soccer, made 20 games plus a profit during that. We added a soccer package to the football season this fall, which is so foreign for me to do. I've not watched 1 second of soccer since football. We got even close. There's just no time, and I'm not a huge watching soccer fan, but I am a huge fan of a 6-0 start for my soccer dudes who I do know listen to this via the podcast. They've downloaded the podcast, get alerts, and so they live overseas. But those guys are just dialed in. 6-0 to start the soccer year, heading into weekend number 3 of the Premier League primarily. I think we'll do some Champions League also, but right now Premier League, they've been about 3 picks a day. 6-0, 8+ units, so $100 players up $800 just in soccer. Dude, they haven't even been close. These are easy wins, 6-2. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on soccer. Literally, people driving off into the woods. We've got week one of college football, the NFL, but that money is attractive. So I'm loving that. Things are going really well. We've rolled out the player prop package, which are player props, so over, under with some quarterbacks and receivers and running backs and different things that a lot of guys like to play around the country. Anyway, those packages are also posted at FatJackSports.com. We're not new to that world. We've been having player prop packages for the better part of 5 or 6 years at least, and done really well. You can go check the results tab for those results. Normally they're free over just Super Bowl weekend, some in the NFL playoffs, possibly the national championship game. But we've now decided to offer those weekly, and they will be very profitable. They're extra. You don't get those with the top selection service, or frankly, or the elite package, because guys do that with me. So I've cut them in, different relationship. I'm not going to cheat the guys that help us win money. So, and it's very inexpensive if you sign up long term, less than $100 a week to make money on those player props. So, a lot of reasons to go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up. Most importantly, you haven't dug yourself too big a hole yet, because we're in week one of the season. So, Brandon, what do you think about all that?
It's an exciting time, and the fact that we have the soccer package, we have a baseball standalone package, we have the player prop package for the NFL. If there is something out there that you would like to wager on and we are not, maybe you shouldn't be wagering on it, because I mean, it's obvious that we've been able to turn a profit on it year after year after year. And at this point, the only thing left, Jack, is hockey.
It is, and I tell you, Brandon, it's been 26 years or 27 years to get me to this point. It's not like
Sure.
I went quarter of a century and just had football and basketball. I actually just had
Mm-hmm.
football. Then
Mm-hmm.
I had a basketball 15 years in, or 10 years in. Added baseball 5 years after that. The long and the short of it is, I don't offer a package, Brandon, that doesn't have value. Isn't going to make money, because I do great on myself by myself. I don't need people to help me handicap anything.
No,
And
definitely
so
not.
if I've taken you on, and listen, a lot of people out there listening would question my UFC guy right now because he's not having a great little stretch, and I'll just say it. I mean, he is not having a great stretch, but gambling it's long. It's a long
That's
life.
what I mean. It's what happens. I mean, this isn't a sure thing, and we're in it for the long haul.
And he's still way up over the course of his relationship with me. I wouldn't add these new packages if I was not positive 100% that
Right.
guys, if they sign up today, we're not going to make money long term. Otherwise, I would just stay doing what we're doing. Doesn't matter to me. It's not that much. So go to fatjacksports.com. Let's talk about week one, Brandon. Great time to get in the system, but more importantly, a time we talked about it kind of in the lead in, where you want to be a little bit careful on where you're
Mm-hmm.
putting your money in week one. We talked about this in week 0 as well. Know the product you're gambling on. We're talking about different products here. When you're talking about college football and you're talking about wagering your hard-earned money, just because it's week one, it's a little bit like the Super Bowl. Just because it's Super Bowl weekend doesn't mean that you need to go freak out and bet all of your money. Same deal, and maybe probably more important.
Because there's 75 games to bet on. Exactly.
And
You could easily dig yourself a hole that will be digging yourself out of until Halloween.
that's the biggest problem. That's what the biggest danger, at least with the Super Bowl. If you're not a basketball bettor, you bet
One and
late,
done.
you
Right.
freak out or bet all your money. You're like, oh, that was horrible. I should never do that again. And then you go play golf. Or you try to get it to warm up wherever you are
Go
around
on
the
a cruise. Do anything other than worry about betting on football.
Exactly. But now we're just starting. So it's a little bit like training for a marathon all year, and getting up to the start of the marathon, in the first 5 seconds, the first half mile you sprint as fast as you could possibly go.
You tear the sole out of your shoe.
Exactly. I could have used, by the way, much worse analogies on how to start fast and not be able to finish. But I didn't go there. I didn't talk about anything else that starting really fast and not being able to complete the entire task might be a horrible idea.
Personal growth with the Fat Jack Sports
Right?
Service.
Because I immediately should have gone to the things that
many other places that
have
could
nothing to do with marathons or starting. It's just other ways that you don't want to start too fast in things that you're doing in life,
and not finish, right?
or finish too soon. Those type of things. You can finish early. I mean, there's no.
You don't want to be done in September
When it's not time to be done. That's exactly right. You don't want to be done when it's not time to be done. Everybody's looking at you like, why are we done? So you don't want to do that. Go to fatjacksports.com if you want to avoid that, because we are to week one. Lots of great games. I say, what? That's wrong. There's lots of games going.
There's some good ones. They're great, maybe not, but there's some good ones.
So tell me where your head immediately goes, because I did go directly to one. Not so much from a gambling perspective, although I may release this game, but my brain went to one game in particular. But where did yours go?
Well, I mean, the marquee game Saturday, Clemson, Georgia. We're going to find out immediately whether or not Clemson is in that conversation. Penn State, West Virginia could maybe be an eliminator for Penn State if they were to lose early. But there are some other games that, down the card. South Dakota State against Oklahoma State. You look at the Sunday game. Where did it go? Oh, LSU USC in Vegas. This is a turnover program for USC without Caleb Williams. What does the next evolution of quarterback play for Lincoln Riley look like? And what does Florida State do on Monday when they play Boston College after losing as a double-digit favorite over in Dublin?
Yeah, it's funny. You lead in with the marquee game, obviously, and we're going to talk about that game. Kind of talk about you. My clients all know that I'm pretty high on Clemson. I think they're going to be very good, and even if things don't go well against the prohibited favorite in college football on this weekend, I still will not throw in the towel. I don't care if they get beat 50-0. It doesn't matter to me. I do believe that there's some value with Dabo Swinney and what they do there. We talked about it last week. They're the only team outside of the armed forces teams that took 0 players out of the transfer portal A lot of people say, "Well, Jack, that doesn't seem like a great thing. Why doesn't he go get better players?" Well, he believes in his program, and he believes in developing talent, and he's been very, very good over his career. I played 2 national championship games in 3 years. Wins 9 or 10 games almost every single year there. So I believe that in college football in week 1, getting something that a constant, something that you know is going to happen with the team is more valuable than trying to speculate and guess, as you mentioned, a team like USC that loses the Heisman Trophy winner, uh, has to go into the portal, gets a lot of different talent. Now they may end up being great,
Hmm.
but we don't know that yet. I mean, some of
And we're
these
not going to know that Sunday.
exactly some of these teams that go and get and ravages the transfer portal, as we talked about last week. Some of them that do that, they're going to hit on these things, a la TCU a couple years ago, and lots of other examples that didn't make the national championship game. But some of them are not, and so knowing which ones will and which ones won't is it's a wait and see, and it's not a sexy strategy for sure. It's much more fun to start out immediately and fire around 5 to 10 games or 10 to 15 games and get the season started. But the reality is you're better off in a lot of these spots waiting and seeing exactly what these teams have to offer.
Well, and especially after seeing what happened in week 0. We had 4 games on Saturday, and the underdogs went 4-0.
All
So
underdogs.
if you're one of those guys who isn't really paying attention to trends, and granted, 4 games does not a trend make, but if you're sitting there thinking, oh, well, hey, Virginia Tech's a 13.5-point favorite against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's always been terrible. Let's just fire everything on the Hokies this weekend. It's early in the year. Transfer portal has changed the landscape of college football. We don't know what these guys are going to be. They haven't had preseason games. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble in week 1, and I guarantee there are people that just played favorites in week 0 and are looking up at the hole that they've dug themselves already.
Yeah, they're signing up today for sure. They're going to FatJackSports.com because if you're a favorite guy, we went 11-2 in the preseason. So Brandon, even at $50 a game, if you're a $200 football player and you played $50 a game, that's what's that? $450. You're already up. So we're not going to do any. We're gonna keep going into profit this weekend. But if you want to stop giving money away, go to FatJackSports.com. You talked about Oklahoma State, South Dakota State. Not one of those games that jumps off the page nationally.
Nope.
But
No, absolutely not.
But it is very intriguing. Oklahoma State taking almost 90% of the money in this game nationwide. So everybody buying into the names on the front of the jersey, not really looking at what's going on. They don't know anything about South Dakota State. They don't know anything. But Oklahoma State getting a lot of, not only a lot of the percentage, but a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money coming in on Oklahoma State. They, generally speaking, do outperform the market, especially when they're an underdog. But early in the year, and we're not just talking about last year, early in the year, this is not a team that goes out and stomps on people. And South Dakota State, this is, look at it like a bowl game, where you have a conference that is, looking up at the big boys. They've circled this one on their schedule. I'm not saying Oklahoma State won't come fired up and ready to go. I'm just saying Mike Gundy does not care about covering numbers. It's never been important to him. And if this game is close late, he is not going to look for that extra score. South Dakota State really good against the spread, 5-0 their last 5 games against the number, 5-0 against the spread their last 5 on the road. Oklahoma State and Gundy, they finished the year strong, especially at home, 5-0 straight up their last 5 at home, and 5-1 against the spread their last 6 at home. So you do get trend, but those trends we talked about with Oklahoma State recently, they're slower starters, building up momentum. And I'm not just talking about straight up, talking about against the number as well. But when they get toward the end of the year, he gets those guys going, gets them clicking on all cylinders to make a run toward a conference championship, or certainly toward a bid this year toward the national championship tournament. So just some things to look at. But, yeah, I think there's some value in playing the underdog there simply because you got what you said. Lots of underdogs covering in week 1 or in week 0. Expect underdogs to outperform favorites overall in week 1. So if you're betting on a favorite, just tell yourself now there are going to be some favorites that cover, certainly favorites that win, but probably not 50% of them. By the way, we'll break that down right here next week. So when we get on the show, first thing we almost always do is look back at the week before and see how favorites and underdogs, how home teams and road teams, all of that, how they did the previous week. But you'll see that especially in this gambling climate, both this week in college, next week in the NFL, you're going to have more underdogs cover most of the time than you will favorites through week 1. So just something to think about if you're going it alone. Hopefully you guys have learned enough by now to go to fatjacksports.com, not go it alone, get signed up, and start winning money against the spread. So we have packages from this weekend only, get you through this Labor Day weekend at fatjacksports.com, all the way through the NBA Finals. We have the soccer package that is already going this weekend. Baseball's free when you sign up for any of the football and/or combo packages. You should definitely add basketball now if you play hoops. It's about half price versus waiting until late October when the basketball season starts, which is not that far away. As crazy as that sounds, Brandon, we're into September now.
Right. That's the crazy thing to think is like, oh, the NBA finals were just a few weeks ago. Guess what? The NBA season starts rolling around. Camps opened up early October, and that's 5-6 weeks from now. So yeah, it's definitely smart to get ahead of the curve and make a plan for the fall, the winter, and really the summer all the way through the finals.
Yeah, no, I'm one of those things where you especially watching the Olympics. You had the NBA and the Olympics, and you watch that, and you're like, gosh, it seems like we just finished. I've seen a lot of LeBron lately. And yeah, you have seen a lot of LeBron, and get ready because it's getting ready to start back up here in a month or so. And the thing is, I'll have guys that wait until basketball season to sign up for basketball season, and they're going to pay double what if you sign up today for basketball season with your football pick. So don't pay double, pay half as much. That's the way to. You want to save money when you can. This is one of those spots where get out in front of the season and save that money at fatjacksports.com. First free winner is South Dakota State against Oklahoma State. So if you're out there looking for free winners, wanting to write those down so you can roast us on Twitter if they don't go well. I know there's a lot of you. Welcome back. Welcome back, haters. You know I love you. Not really. I'm one of those people.
I was gonna say the thing is, Jack, we're gonna own it. If we come in here next week and the free winners go 3-0, guess what? We're gonna talk about it. They go 1-2. They're free for a reason, but we'll be honest about what we've thrown out there.
Own no matter what, but they're free for a reason. That's exactly right. I don't give a rip whether the free winners win or not. I don't care at all. You know how much effort I put into South Dakota State, Oklahoma State for a free winner on this show? So little compared to what I put into the paid plays, the opinions, the elite stuff that's going, all the different things that clients that actually want to win money are doing. Giving free winners to appease haters, or if you're out there and you're looking for free winners, you're like, you know what? If he wins this one, I might sign up. No, you won't sign up. What you'll do is you'll pay the free winner next week. Is what you'll do. But if that's what you're doing, you're a losing gambler anyway. So you're going to lose this year. Just bank it, mark it down. Now, how much you lose, I don't know what your threshold is. I don't know what your discipline is. But if you're looking for free winners to win money betting on sports, come on, guys. Be better than that. I've used this analogy for years. It is literally like taking a date, going to Costco for dinner on a Saturday and eating the free samples. Be better than that.
While memorable, not a long-term solution.
It's a one-date solution. Nobody's going on a second day with your cheap ass if you go take them to Costco and eat the free, Triscuits with the cheese sauce and the popcorn. Love it.
Great. Or the $1.50 hot dog. Like that's not a good thing.
It's not. And in this business, it's really not. Volume is about in this business, and we'll talk more about services and more about ways to go about this as we go forward. But one thing I'll just throw out there right now: volume services that $9.99 or $19 or free, and then you get all that kind of stuff. They are, if they had information that was valuable. Would they be charging $9 for it, Brandon? I'll have people all the time say, Jack, gosh, your service is so expensive. Is it? I mean, it's about $50 a week for longer packages. $100 a week if you go for a month. It's less than $200 a week if you're just going the weekend. If you can't afford that, then you probably should be losing, or just bet on your own and expect to lose, because it's not that expensive. But I make no apologies for charging what I charge for my place, because there is value, a lot of value in the information. I'm not guessing. And so we're going to win a lot of money over the course of this season. And that's why I've been around for 27 years doing this, because I'm one of those guys that, well, the few actually, there's a few, but there are a few others, but that sell the exact plays they're betting on, and then give those exact plays to their clients, because we make money doing that. And I grow as a service every single year because people understand the value of consistent winning plays. Not going to win every day. You talked about it before. If we have a losing day or losing week, we will discuss that. But if you're wanting to turn a profit long-term betting on sports, it's going to be next to impossible to do on your own. It's going to be impossible to do if you're betting parlays. Impossible. We talked about it last week. And there's very few of us out here that there are a lot more that make money betting on sports, but very few of those sell their plays for anybody for anything. I never saw the reason not to. I just felt like I'm betting the games myself. I bet them first, and I send those exact games to my clients. I didn't see any reason not to. I'm okay more people winning betting on sports. I want you to win betting on sports if you want to win betting on sports. But you're going to have to do a couple things to get that done. It's like, I want you to be able to get to California in half a day, but you're going to have to do that one thing, which is buy the plane ticket, because I can't put you on my back and get you there for free. So go to Fat Jack Sports.
We can't smuggle you in luggage.
I won't do it. Mike could. I have a bag that my daughter literally can get into. We call it Big Blue, and we made one of her friends actually drag it home from overseas one time. But you and I couldn't fit in it, but my daughter could fit in it. I don't think that works. I've never tried, but I put her in the bag. I said, "How think you fit here, Katie?" Put her in, zipped it up, and thought, you know what? If she just lay real still or we drugged her, she might be able to go under the plane. So
bags fly free on certain airlines too.
Right? So yeah, that's buy one, get one the old school way. So
hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.
This is Brandon Rush from the Fat Jack Sports Service. If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it, we are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every week. Get free winners and tips on how to become a better sports bettor. Plus, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected with the Fat Jack Sports Service at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host, a man laboring on Labor Day weekend. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2. Ready for the weekend. How's the bumper music going? Did you mix it up a little bit? Play some of those songs I gave you?
Yeah, Shabuzi. I was completely oblivious to prior to the start of this season, and I'm knee deep now.
I'm telling you, man, that guy. You talk about a catchy song. That one and Hottogo. That's the other one. You haven't played that one.
That one hasn't struck many chords. With me at least.
She is not. You're not her demographic for sure.
Well, and like I love a good pop tune, but that's one of those things that I just accept in my life that I will just not get for a while. Coming from someone who was a Spice Girls fan.
Yeah, well, I'm one of the biggest boy band fans there is out there.
Right.
But I will tell you, Brent, I think part of the disconnect is people today, and I don't want to say kids today because a lot of those same people, those same kids need to be signed up at FatJackSports.com. They're horrible gamblers. They're not winning, and I can help them win. I mean, there is something that is valuable about 27 years of doing this successfully and learning the hard way on your own while listening to Hottogo and play that bumper music going in and out so the listeners that are older know what we're talking about. That there's some value that you're going to get from somebody my age that's going to have been doing this a long time and winning money. So definitely go to FatJackSports.com. The disconnect for me and a lot of the younger music is they all come with these dance moves and the whole TikTok thing. You get on TikTok and what's the one where they do this, the 3 to the side, and then there's a whole thing. Anyway, I'll figure out the song. But there's all these dances, and when you're younger, you just feel like that's what you're doing. I mean, you'll see it out in public. I'm in L.A. or whatever on Sunset, and they will just be out there just dancing away to their phone to then post it on TikTok, so 9 of their friends will say, "You go, girl. You queen, girl." I mean, that kind of stuff. I get that a lot on TikTok. Oh, my gosh, queen, you look so pretty. But
my generation missed the Macarena, and I wasn't around. Still to this day, they did it on the cruise that I was on in February, and I just hung my head in shame.
It's hard for me to go there. I mean, problem is my age. I'm 54. There was a gap, so you had line dance, you had the hustle.
We went from disco to hair metal to grunge to boy bands. So there's a big gap in there.
Yeah, in those gaps, there's not a lot of dancing. Think about it. I mean, you really had to come back around to the Macarena or something like that. There was a big gap in there after disco where most people were just simply not dancing. And so now everybody's about their dancing. They're dancing on TikTok. I can't do it. So go to fatjacksports.com. There's 5 minutes of your life you'll never get back. One-sided games this weekend, Brandon. The most bet on one-sided game of the entire weekend so far, Oklahoma State has 88%, and this is through DraftKings, so it's different, but it's basically the same. The percentages will be different depending on where you're looking, but the games will basically be the same. 88% bet on Oklahoma State, 87% on LSU. It opened at 6. And then is bet down to 4.5 by some sharp players. And at 4.5, now you've got the general public filing in 87% on LSU, 86% on Alabama, 83% on Michigan State, 82% on Georgia. People are believing, that Georgia is the cream of the crop. And until further notice, I've said this, if you're just picking national champions, gun to your head, you got to be right. I don't know how you're not picking the Chiefs in the NFL,
mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you're not picking, if you had one team, you're picking Georgia in college football. I mean, you can go there. I mean, what I try to do is I try to find different ways to make money later in the year if either of these teams have injuries or fall for any reason. But yeah, there definitely people are buying into Georgia. Miami, Florida, 82%. Michigan, 82%. Colorado, 77%. People are back on the early Deion train. They think that he's able to go out and get it done. So get it done early in the year at least and have a repeat of last year. So those are just some of the games that are one-sided right now. Expect more of those to not cover than to cover, but they'll be about 50-50 probably. Of those, I mean, you'll have half of them will cover and half of them won't. So and maybe a few more. If you end up, and here's how the general public go, and I'll be busy next week depending on how that goes. So if those favorites go 2-7, and there's a bunch more that are really lopsided right now, but those go 2-7, the ones I just mentioned, I'll be super busy next week. If they go 7-2, guys will be out there, being a little bit sassier to their bosses when they go into work on Monday. They won't quit yet, but they'll be sassy. And they'll have a little bit more of an edge to it, a little chip on their shoulder. And they'll be thinking in the back of their mind, you know what? I knew this was easy.
And then they're going to head into week 1 of the NFL and just run into the buzzsaw that league is.
Yeah, it almost gives it. And even if that goes, I almost feel like I don't even need to say it. You're going to give it back. If you go 7-2 and you bet all the favorite, if you're on 88% of those, if you're with 88% of the public, that money's coming back. You're just borrowing it. So don't spend it on, don't go get a Lamborghini. I see these day traders on TikTok and on Instagram and stuff. They're out buying Lamborghinis and stuff. And I always say, and they're 21, or 19. And I always say to myself, hopefully you're that one guy. But I do worry that you're not. And you're like everybody else. And then somebody's going to get a great deal on a Lamborghini. So if you go out and you go 7-2 this week, especially if you're playing the favorites, first of all, you having 9 games is a red flag as far as you knowing what you're doing or not. But if you've played all of these favorites or these one-sided, and note, Brandon, every single one of those that I read off are favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Not one underdog.
Large favorites. And I think probably the lowest number against the spread on any of those is probably 10.5 points.
Well, Miami's 2.5, but besides Miami, yeah, everybody else is 9.5, 10 points. I mean, very, very lopsided. So if you're that guy, and you might be, if you're that guy that likes to go out and likes to play favorites and you're going to line up with the public, and you happen to win, because there will be some weeks where you will win. Please don't go spend that money on a Lamborghini, because you are giving that back.
Short-term lease at best.
Yeah, it's a short term, and hopefully you'll give it back a lot more before you realize, hey, I'm not doing this right, because this happens every single year. Instead, go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up today. Less than $60 or $70 a week for longer packages for everything. You get the weekend for $129 or so. I mean, if you can't spend $129 to win, then don't play. You should not be gambling. Honestly, if you're playing free plays, you're going to lose as well, most likely, because that's what free plays are worth. So go to fatjacksports.com, add some discipline. The plays are emailed to you. The website's been totally redone. Very, very sleek. I've gotten a lot of great feedback on the website and very few complaints, and even fewer people saying, I can't find my picks. I did want to talk, by the way, let's talk about Clemson and Georgia real quick. But then I do want to talk about your new job that you got. You've taken over the customer service, and not all of it yet. I've
Right.
let you tiptoe into it. But you've taken over the customer service part of the website. And so I'm excited to hear about your feedback after one full weekend of ridiculous questions. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about Georgia Clemson first. What are your thoughts on this game, Brent? Take yourself out of, you know that I like Clemson, or not in this particular game necessarily, but I like them over the year. But take that out. What do you think about this game? Where are we? How good is Georgia compared to the rest of the field?
I mean, they've lost a lot over the last few years. You look at what just the top 2 rounds in the NFL draft in the last 2 seasons. It's littered with Georgia players. So you begin to understand that it is a reloading versus a rebuild. At the same time, they got a potential Heisman Trophy guy at quarterback. They've got talented dudes all over the place. I don't know defensively what they're going to look like. Obviously, they're going to be high pressure. They're going to be getting after the quarterback, especially in that front 7. Does that gel early in the year? I'm curious to see what they can do throughout the year. But against a program like Clemson, that, again, those are going to be well-coached guys, well-disciplined guys. It's one of those deals that, for me, Jack, if Georgia protects the football, they probably win comfortably. If they go out and turn the ball over a couple times, or they don't get turnovers on the defensive side of the ball, Clemson could be right in there and definitely within the number as that game goes on. That total 49.5, as we're recording right now, seems about right. But I really don't know what to expect out of Georgia this season, just given what they've lost over the last few years.
Yeah, what's interesting about Georgia, program-wise, you're going to start with Carson Beck. You start with Kirby Smart, then you're going to go back. They return the quarterback. They return 4 of their 5 offensive line starters. So start right there. This team, you talk about reloading versus rebuilding. That is the definition, is that I keep one of my stars, either a running back, a great receiver, or a quarterback. They're not all seniors. And more importantly, my offensive line is not totally brand new. Defensive players, generally speaking, and especially very athletic ones, will catch up very, very quick over these first couple weeks once they get in real game situations. So if you're looking for the formula of a team that should be able to reload, Georgia's absolutely it. We've seen that over the last few years. I will caution people with this, though. Last year, Georgia 13-1, 15-0 the year before. Last year against the spread, 5-8.
Oof.
So they're not covering numbers, people. If you're a gambler and you're listening to this show for gambling information, it's important to remember that just because a team is great doesn't mean a team is going to cover. Even the year before, when they went 15-0, they were only 2 games over 500. So when you add in juice, it's less than that. It's you're getting one unit plus change. So be very, very careful in just lining up and betting teams against the spread. Now, 2021, they were 10-4 against the spread. So, but you got to go back to 2021 for you made a lot of money betting on the University of Georgia. So I do believe they're going to be really good. I've talked about Clemson, and the only team that doesn't go into the transfer portal, I believe in Dabo Swinney. This is a team that they did lost 13 players to the portal in the offseason. So this is not a team that the door's open. It's just one way. And so a lot of people will say,
don't
okay,
let the door hit you on the way out type situation.
It is. It's exactly that. And Dabo Swinney says those exact words, basically. Listen, you want to be here and you want to build something great, be a part of something great, sit down and let's get to work. If you don't, there's the door. And it goes one way. So that obviously is going to cause a little bit of pause because I believe in the coach, but I don't believe in the ability to have a lot worse players beat a team that has more talent than anybody in the country 9 times out of 10. So I'm not saying I'm lining up, shoving it all in on week 1. I'm saying over the course of the season, the winner of the ACC is getting into the tournament. I felt like Florida State was going to be down. So far, I haven't been proven a liar there. And so if Clemson wins the SEC, they're getting in. I'm going to have a ticket that pays $80,000 on them, or $65,000. I think they're $65,000, $1,000 to win $65,000 on Clemson to win the national championship, and I'm going to be able to hedge that back and guarantee myself money. So don't connect the two.
Right. Those are two separate entities,
Exactly.
especially in August, September.
Exactly. Yeah, we're still, again, theme of the week is let's make sure these teams are what we think they're going to be. So
And not finish early.
exactly. Don't finish early. That's exactly right. Let's stay in it for the long haul. FatJackSports.com, those that want to win, and there's thousands of you around the country who have signed up for literally some of you for 27 years plus, because you know there's value. You know that you want to win betting on sports, and you know I'll be able to help you do that. So weekend package goes through Monday, Labor Day, all these college games this weekend, free baseball. Baseball won Saturday and Sunday after a pretty lackluster week the week before. One Saturday and Sunday, those were free. One of them was an underdog. Soccer we talked about, just incredibly strong right now. Player props, those start up next week with the NFL package, but you can get that right now at FatJackSports.com, and certainly get those longer packages if you can. You can go weekend, you can go a full week, you can go monthly through September, you can go through the Super Bowl, through March Madness, through the NBA Finals. So they're all listed, very self-explanatory, and the portal is there for you to go get those picks the minute that they are ready. So great time to get signed up, great time to win. The NFL. We turn the page to the NFL starting this week. So by the time next week's show, if you're not getting it on the podcast, we're gonna be knee deep into the NFL season. A lot of guys that are making the trip, either for college football this last week to a state that doesn't have sports gambling, or they're betting their season futures. Let's talk about a couple of those season futures that you think might be worth a flyer. And I'm just gonna run down and kind of rapid fire 3, 4, or 5 different teams that if I was going to bet the win total with those teams, the side that I'd be on. So give me 2 or 3 that you look at in the NFL.
For win totals are tough for me in the NFL. Just maybe a little bit more easy than say the college games, just because we get to see. We know the product a little bit better with the NFL because we've seen players come in from college and everything else. Some season numbers that I love though. Like I said, earlier a couple weeks ago we talked about a futures bet that I have on Tampa Bay to win the Super Bowl, just much like the Utah and Clemson plays. Comeback player of the year. I rarely bet awards, but one I like, maybe a bit of a homer pick. Kyler Murray at 45-1. Not too bad. Some interesting prop numbers. Dalton Schultz, I think, is going to have a huge year for the Texans. This an offense that has done well and is only going to blossom another year under CJ Stroud. So his total yards, I think, is only like 500 for the year. Number 1 tight end in the division, probably in the NFC, or excuse me, the AFC behind Travis Kelce. Hard not to like that.
Yeah, no, you're right. The Kyler Murray is an interesting one. You know, there's some really strong guys that make a lot of money, sharp players, that believe not only is Arizona way undervalued, they've forgotten all of it. The general public has forgotten how good Kyler Murray is. They haven't come out with a new video game over the last 6 months. We keep him off Call of Duty. I think we might have a chance to keep him dialed in. You're hearing out of camp that he's been in the he's hungry. I mean, when you get hurt, that he's gotten a little more hungry and a little more focused, and he's a special talent. Their win total's low, and if he does what Kyler Murray can do, they don't necessarily have to. It's really hard to get an MVP unless they're in the conversation come January. And so
if you're not trying to get a bye in the first round of the playoffs, odds are you're not going to win MVP.
And he's got the problem is you've got some other kind of similar molds that are on better teams with better supporting cast, namely Aaron Rodgers. Similar situation, hurt all last year. If he plays well and they play well, he's winning the MVP. And their team, at least from an expectation standpoint in this time of year, is further than what Arizona is. But your point's not missed that Arizona is absolutely going to be better with him, and he's going to be a huge part of what they do. And if they go over their win total and get in the conversation to make the playoffs, Kyler Murray will be the face of that. If he's not, they're not. So I don't hate that from a long shot perspective. Aaron Rodgers is another really interesting deal. You know, he's looked really good in camp, especially on the joint practices. I don't mind Aaron Rodgers. I don't care about his personality or his political views or any of that kind of stuff. He's a prickly guy, but I'm okay. My daughter's one of the prickliest people I've ever met, and I love her. I mean, she's
Right.
and so I'm okay with that. And I do think production is all that matters in this world. He didn't just become a super extreme political guy who doesn't want to get the COVID, all the different things that people might say, well, that might rub some players the wrong way. He didn't just become these things. He's always been Aaron Rodgers. But when Aaron Rodgers gets on the field, puts a helmet on, he is a different type of athlete. And
you do not need to be likable to be great at your job.
Exactly. And nobody cares in the end on his team. Everybody there is fighting for positions, for playing time, for Super Bowl championship. They don't care. You bring in literally the worst human being ever put on the planet. But if the dude could throw a 30-yard out route on a dime, they're going to be like, you know what? I'll figure it out. I know
if you can separate art from artist, you can definitely back a quarterback who might be a terrible person.
Exactly. And so locker room is not a huge thing when you get to that level. Now there's a lower level you got to be better. I think Love and I think even Dallas's quarterback, those type guys need to be locker room guys because their valleys can be the point people will jump off that boat with them. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers, when he plays well, and we'll see. Father Time's undefeated. We'll see how that goes as well. But he plays well. He's an interesting flyer as well. I know a lot of sharp guys betting Aaron Rodgers to win MVP based on what they're capable of if he plays well. So,
hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and for the final time in August, here is our host. He is a favorite this weekend. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3, wrapping up week 1 of college football. Gosh, it feels good to be back. NFL starting up this week. So many different ways to make money. Talk about the soccer package, the player props package. Don't sleep on that, guys. If you're out there and you bet player props, you get somewhere between 6 and 12 a week. We are very, very good at player props. You can go look at the results tab for last year or the year before under football. Go to the Super Bowl area. You'll look at all the different player props that we had. They're listed out there with their wins and loss records. So always keep that results tab as a resource, all right? Everything that we've done up to this point in the preseason and week 0, that's all posted under the results tab under the 2024 football results. So go there, check that out. You'll see a lot of wins. I mean, we've had a very, very good start to the year. We're going to have a great week 1. And we're going to start building profit heading into the start of the NFL season and beyond. Just a few, Brandon, wins and loss totals that I would go over under. I would go over with Arizona. I'm going under with Green Bay. I'm going under with Miami. I would go over with, who was my other over I was going to give for free? The Broncos. I'm don't know what to do with the Jets, so I'm off them. I don't know what to do with the Cowboys, so I'm off them. I think the Cowboys could be great and still win 10 games if they play really, really well. So I don't know that. I think I could see them doing the opposite of what they normally do, which is being really, really, really good during the regular season, or what they did last year, and then going out and throwing the ball to Green Bay 6 times and getting blown out in the playoffs. I could see them flipping that with some of the pressure being off, but I'm not comfortable either way. So those are just a few. The Chiefs, a lot of people ask about the Chiefs. Don't love the Chiefs win total. There's no value going over. Any injuries happen, they probably lean or trend under in that. I like under in Houston. Teams that came out of nowhere to do really well last year, they generally speaking will regress back. The schedules get harder. It just becomes tougher, more especially with young quarterbacks like what you got down in Houston. Defense coordinators get a little more time, a little more tape to figure out how to confuse these dudes who really get a little bit lucky. If you're a rookie in the NFL and you play really, really, really well, most of the time you're not the second coming of whatever. You are just somebody that escaped through a few spots that had they gone differently, your year would have been a lot more normal for a rookie. And I think that's probably what you're getting. Houston, I throw Jordan Love into that as well at Green Bay. That's why I think they probably come back a little bit. Green Bay fans will say, well, you know what, Jack, he's putting it together. He's consistent. You might be right. Like I say, these are free winners on a show. So they're not money I'm putting $50,000 on or anything like that. But those are types. lot of opinions on Minnesota on whether this is a lame duck year for them or not. I mean, it probably is with what's happened up at quarterback at them, so I probably lean under. Cleveland, I like Cleveland under as well.
Well, and news this week that Nick Chubb's going to start the year on injured reserve puts a lot of pressure on Deshaun Watson in a contract year.
Yeah, and a guy that can't throw it where he's aimed. I mean, he is the definition of a guy. He leads the league in inaccurate passes over the last year, or last couple of years actually. 60% in the red zone and 45% overall of his misses are just him not throwing it where he's supposed to throw it. So they have stats on everything now, Brandon, and some of them are more important than others. But if a guy has bad aim, it's like sending somebody to the Olympics to shoot targets, and he's not a great shot. It's hard to fix that. So mechanics.
Advanced analytics, we always say, analytics, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. Those are some statistics that will jump up and bite you in critical situations.
It's also what 27 years in this business will do. It allows you to kind of know, with all the data and all the information, what information is important and what's not. I mean, I could give you 50 stats why Deshaun Watson is going to be good, or going to be great, having nothing to do with what a good tipper he is when he gets a massage. I just think that a lot of those things don't matter, and there are things that do matter. So that's what listening to the show will do. I try to get people information that will matter if they're deciphering things on their own. And inaccurate passing, especially in the red zone, not what you want to be betting on if you're trying to get a team to win 9 or 10 games. So I would just be careful with that. So go to FatJackSports.com if you don't want to have to figure out what information is good and what's not, and start making money now. Don't dig yourself a hole. We're going to have a great year. This week, next week, we're going to make money. We're going to be into profit. And if you don't sign up, my busiest year every year is the week after the start of the NFL season. And it's because guys want to do it their own, and then they realize, you know what, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a truck driver, I'm a mechanic, I clean car, whatever you do for a living. This is not what you're doing for a living, and it's almost impossible to make money consistently if you're not doing it full time. Final thoughts, Brandon?
If you're doing fantasy drafts this week, Trey McBride, Arizona Cardinals tight end, telling you now, take him high. And I'm very happy to see that at least one perpetual hype train is going to go off the rails this weekend because Notre Dame plays Texas A&M, and two fan bases who have very, very high, overinflated sense of self-worth will take an L on opening weekend, and nothing makes me happier.
Both are going to show up super fired up with the best team in the country, and one of those sides is going to leave super, super sad. So also go follow us on Twitter, I guess, although I'm about 5 minutes away from doing away from my Twitter. But follow Brandon. Brandon at what? At Brandon Rush? At Brandon Rush, and you're at Fat Jack Sports everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Threads. If it comes out, you're there at Fat Jack Sports. I am so close to doing some dances on TikTok. I just can't even tell you. I'm going to start doing the 3 things and the flip over, and I'm going to do the HO. Anything it's up. If I shut down Twitter, I'm going immediately to TikTok, Brandon, and I'm going to give some different testimonials. Hey, I wanted to do this today, and here's what I think. That whole thing, and just tell people what I think about things. I would love to see a get ready with me video with the Fat Jack. Yeah, and then I'm going to do some videos with some dancing, and I'm going to do some of their dances. So if I get off TikTok, or TikTok's the opposite of Twitter, in my opinion. Twitter is just troll-driven, haters everywhere. I'm getting off. If I get off that entirely, and I'm going to leave all 6,000 people to fend for themselves, I'm going to TikTok where I've got about 17 followers. And I'm going to start doing dances and stuff. So you might want to plan ahead and go follow me on TikTok, because that may happen sooner than later, depending on how many jackasses chirp me if we have a losing free winner this week on the show. So, guys, have a great week. Wager responsibly. It's Labor Day weekend. Please don't drink and drive. Arrive safely. Have a great, great weekend, a great football season. Until next week, for Brandon the Fat Jack, this has been the Fat Jack Sports Hour.